We are here for another Power Talk, and I got somebody special with y'all today. Her name is Stacey. I'm gonna just say just Stacey, so y'all feel like y'all can call her Stacey Anderson. She is the State Policy Legal Fellow for the Innocence Project. At the stage that Stacey is in, she's responsible for in-depth legal research and legislative drafting concerning criminal procedure and constitutional law. Prior to joining the Innocence Project, Stacey was a Marciano Legal Fellow with the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network called RAINN, where she did legal research and legislation drafting focused on sexual violence response, Title IX, and constitutional law. Stacey is a proud graduate of the Northeastern University in Boston and earned her JD from Widener University, Delaware Law School. My Southern came out just now, but whatever. While in law school, Stacey served as the Mid-Atlantic Regional Chair of the National Black Law Students Association, and Stacey believes public policy is the route to manifest change. Hey, Stacey, how you doing, girl?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on, Neena. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Yes. Now, I know I introduced you briefly, but kind of introduce yourself in the sense of tell us who you are in about 3 words. Who is Stacey? What is she made of? You know, tell us a little bit about that part. So I'm going to go ahead and put your question up there in case you forget, but this is it. You know, who are you? What do you do in 3 words?
Absolutely. I'm a go-getter. I work really hard. I'm fully dedicated. I'm fun. I try and be outgoing, and I'm very curious. I ask a lot of questions. I want to know all the facts, and yeah, fun, curious, go-getter.
Awesome. I love that. So as they said, fun, curious, and go-getter. I like those. That's actually probably different than what I usually see. Everyone's always focused on the business aspects of who they are. So before I get into all my, other questions for you, I know you want to tell us about networking. So I'm not going to take another voicer. You go straight into talking about how networking is vital in the law school experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think coming into law school as a first-generation law student, my family, it was a shock to me just how important it was to really already have a network going in, and a little bit of the difficulty of what that's like to build that from scratch when you don't have anyone readily available, and you also don't know really what it means to try and build your network. So if the students take away anything from our discussion today, I want them to know that, one, if you don't already know some attorneys, that's completely fine. You have the skill set to be able to open the doors for yourself, climb on in and meet people, and to keep on running with it. So sometimes you'll go to meetings with the local bar association. You might be a little shy, or you only meet 1 or 2 people. Make sure you grab their business card and follow up with them, and be persistent. So you want to put in the subject line, nice to meet you at X location. Try and remember a fact about them when you talked about, ask them for maybe 30 minutes of their time just to get to know them at first. And make sure you are consistent with how often you speak with people. So if that is every year you're sending out a Christmas card, or you're sending maybe like a summer check-in update, letting people know how your year went, especially while you're in law school, that's always appreciated. You want to make sure that you are making connections with people, and that's building your network. So one of the things that I wanted to point out during this for students is the National Black Law Students Association, which is across the country. There are numerous chapters separated into 6 regions. And at NBLSA, you will be able to network with current minority Black law students, as well as thousands of Black graduates. I strongly encourage you to get involved at the local level when you go into law school, going to your first meeting, the Welcome Back Barbecue, get to know friends and meet with the alumni, attend your regional programming as well, so you can meet students maybe across your state. And if you have the opportunity, absolutely go to National Convention, which actually just happened virtually in Denver. Today was the last day. Yeah, I think not enough people before you get into law school know about NABOLSA, and that's available for all students to be able to join.
Tell us a little bit about how you got your job at the Innocence Project. A lot of people have watched the movie Michael B. Jordan talking about the Innocence Project and all the different things that were led to build it. But if they didn't watch the Michael B. Jordan building, is it the same as the movie? It's just every day it's a constant battle, or is it one of those things where you're like, there's some things that you can actually learn from just doing it or being alongside the attorneys that no movie could do?
Yeah, so I went the alternative route with not going into litigation. I've found out like my second year of law school that I didn't want to be inside of a courtroom, and I wanted to make an impact for my community on a more macro level. So I work in the policy department as a state policy legal fellow. And my job basically is to support our policy advocates. Our team has 3 advocates that work on legislation across the country focused on compensation for the wrongfully convicted, doing mandates for recording of interrogations, anything that's related to how wrongfully persons get wrongfully convicted. We're working on the policy side to make sure that the law is better to prevent that, and also to make it right in the instance that it does happen. So a big example, our policy advocate, Beth, who's also my boss, just had in Idaho legislation passed. So Idaho just became the 36th state to compensate the wrongfully convicted, which is amazing. And in terms of what students can do, getting involved with the Innocence Project, I definitely say follow social media accounts, interact with us, making sure that you're sharing out the information. If there is an opportunity to be able to contact your state legislatures about policy work that we're doing in your jurisdiction, beyond that, it's always important for us lawmakers to be able to hear from their constituents and not just from a nonprofit. So we're strong in numbers that way. And that ties into your network, right? Our organization is able to touch so many people, and people care about innocence, and they care about making sure that the criminal legal system really does turn around and implement justice, right? And we learned a lot in 2020 about how like that's not true. And so the Innocence Project is one of those organizations that is working to fight that and making our criminal legal system better. So there are plenty of things that you can do on your end if you're not directly working at a nonprofit like the Innocence Project. You can engage with us on various platforms and making sure that you're using your voice to speak with your lawmakers or even your community. It's just making sure that people are aware and educated on what's going on.
And Stacey, let's talk for a second. Have you seen some networking faux pas, especially since we talked about how you like to be connected on LinkedIn? Y'all heard that she likes to be connected with on LinkedIn. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all have your LinkedIn messages that y'all can queue up and send to her because people like things. But you see some faux pas when people try to connect with you that you just don't like, that would be really helpful for them if they're trying to network. What's an effective networking strategy? And then what's a non-effective networking strategy?
Yeah, I think I feel like there's kind of like a hit and miss because everyone is different. I think because I'm a first generation law graduate, I'm a lot more open to just really connecting with anyone. I always want to pay it forward. That's one of the reasons why I'm here. I think what you need to do is you need to be direct and be clear about what you're asking for and what your needs are. One thing that I always try and make sure that I do is have questions lined up. So if I'm just curious about someone, Maybe I came across somebody's page, or I've heard a lot about an alumni from my school. I want to connect with them, and I just want to know about their work. I always want to make sure that I have like 5 questions lined up to ask that person about, how did they get to where they are, things that they learned along the way, something they wish that someone had told them. That's always important. And saying thank you. I think sometimes people forget to follow up and thank someone for their time, which you would think that someone would remember to say thank you, but they don't always do that. So you want to make sure that you remember to thank someone for their time, and don't hesitate. Someone told me last year, like, take risks in your career. So like if you're nervous about trying to contact with someone, or maybe someone's like not getting back to you, don't let that beat you down and stop you from wanting to connect with other people. You want to be consistent, like I said earlier, and try and communicate with as much people as possible and be authentic in doing that. And sometimes connecting with someone isn't always about trying to get something from them, right? Like, you don't necessarily want to message someone just because you're trying to like get a job. Now, it could be the case that maybe someone that's an alumni and they're also like working at a firm that has a certain summer associate position that you're very interested in, so you're trying to make a connection that way. But remember that there's a balance to that as well. People don't always want someone just trying to grab something from them. You're trying to build a relationship, and relationship, it goes both ways. So just be mindful of that as well.
And you hit the nail on the head. The issue is that sometimes people, you can't lead with your ask. You got to lead with, hey, trying to get to know more about your business. Can you tell me a little bit about you? Do you mind if we schedule a quick call? Quick call is a good way to pivot into what you really want to ask. And sometimes people are open to a quick call. I know 15-minute calls are really effective ways to get to know people. So, Stacey, is there a good thank you method? I know you mentioned that people forget to say thank you. Is there a memorable way that someone said thank you to you that you were like, oh, I'm following up with that person? Like, next thing I get, I'm giving that person an opportunity. Any memorable things that you've experienced?
I think one of the students that I had met through the pre-law program with Nabalsa, I really admired how he would give me check-ins like every couple of months. I think maybe like when a new semester or something was starting for him at school, he would just
an opportunity. Any memorable?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, there was a background noise.
Oh, okay.
Disregard me. Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, but he just messaged me every couple of months, and he would just say like, hey, Stacey, just wanted to let you know, like, this is where I'm at. These are the classes I'm taking. I hope everything's doing well with you. And because he did that, it made me feel more inclined that when I saw an opportunity for a pre-law student to be able to get a complimentary laptop, he was the first person I thought of, and I sent it to him. I've seen various scholarships for L.S.T, and I sent it to him. So trying to build a genuine relationship with the person, I think, is what makes you memorable. For me, I typically send a thank you email the next day, and then I send a thank you card. Someone told me like writing out a personal letter makes you memorable, and I like to pen pal people, so I have a ton of stationery. So I normally will send a card out to people as well.
Awesome. And she hit the nail on the head. That thank you card, that one, that handwritten note, that thing really, y'all. I have done a couple of intake interviews, and some kids from Sanford, I will say they're teaching you right things over there at Sanford Cumberland School of Law. Because I kid you not, I received 2 handwritten thank you notes from girls I interviewed. And I kid you not, that's memorable. People don't write letters anymore. People don't do any of that stuff anymore. We all just text and email, and it's easy, right? And it
Yeah.
saves you money, but it would save you 0 cents, right? To send that handwritten thing. You can get jobs that way. They will just put it on their desk, someone took the time to thank me. I've done that with judges, any interview. And I mean, it's worth it. The 40 cents, 41 cents you're going to have to spend to put that thing in the mail, it's worth it. Buy some stationery. That's just for me to y'all. Stacey's telling you she remembered, okay? She remembers that, writing here is big. So it's still big, y'all. It wasn't just big when our, parents were, writing love letters to each other. It's big now. People still appreciate that. All right. So Stacey, let's get real for a second. Can you tell me where you had to struggle and get through this process that you are in now? So, I mean, it was probably really easy for you to get to where you are. You never had any struggles at all. But let's just assume you did. What was your point? When did you have to struggle? And then, how you are now. So tell us how you got there, past that struggle.
Yeah, I think for me, I've had like a little bit of an internal struggle sometimes in school of feeling like I wasn't maybe like the brightest in the classroom, or that the work that I was doing just wasn't ever going to be enough. And I know when I was getting ready to graduate, I didn't really know how to get to actually literally where I am now. I didn't know how to approach trying to get a job that wasn't going to be at a law firm or clerking with a judge. And so what I did was, I'm a very religious person, so I pray a lot. I ask for guidance. I mostly do ask for peace as well, because sometimes like your nervousness kind of clouds your thinking, right? So if I'm able to find a moment of peace and clarity so that I can think, remind myself, if I'm already in law school, that's probably like the hardest part. It's just getting in the door. And the fact that I was there meant that I had the tools and I had the critical thinking ability to be able to see my way through to earn that degree. So a little bit of self pep talk, talking with friends. That's one of the things that Nabulsa really gave to me, was being able to have other people in my corner that are Black, that look like me, that have the same interactions, maybe with some students or some alumni that aren't Black, and we can be able to debrief those experiences. I know one of my very good friends, I still talk to her. We like got through the bar together, messaged each other after, said a prayer, got on the phone. So that's very important, trying to get through your struggle. And in terms of trying to get to my job, trying to get up every day, say to myself, set a goal, like I want to try and find one job that I can apply to today, but I'm going to spend like a couple hours like researching different opportunities so I can figure out what's going to be the right pathway for me, and being consistent with it. So if I set my goal, I want to apply to one job today, or by the end of the week, I want to make sure that I did 10 applications, making sure that I did that. And with COVID, it was a struggle towards the end of the school year. I graduated in May. So March, mid-March is when we went remote. And so that was a hard transition. So implementing into my day, trying to go for a walk or just getting outside and standing in the sun for a little bit to help boost my mood was important. And making sure that I stood part of the day helped boost my mood and I think my behavior overall. But yeah, so summing that up, struggle was trying to make sure that I believed in myself, right? Not letting myself get down. So I was going back to my network through Nabulsa, and my friends from undergrad, and then taking a risk and doing what I knew I wanted to do, which was macro level impact with my law degree, and setting a goal for myself when I was trying to find a job to apply to.
Wow. That's beautiful. So, we'll ask you a follow up to this. What drove you to transform those experiences, those struggles, into something positive? It's real easy to talk about. Y'all don't know what I went through, but, tell them what drove you to say, you know what, those are things that I experienced, but I'm going to make something positive.
Yeah, I mean, when you are when you're a woman, right, and when you're a woman of color, I think there's something like innate in you to you have all these feelings, and there were a few moments where I broke down and cried, but just going back on my faith, remembering that I'm a child of God and God gives to you what is for you, and there is a learning experience through everything and every heartache that you go through, and you never know when you're going to um, meet someone that is going through something similar that you went through. And because you went through that experience, you're able to be a support to them and be a rock to them. I think turning the negatives into positives is, thinking about my own family and thinking about all the different ways, aside from the negative that I'm in right now, the different ways that I've been blessed, and how what I'm experiencing right now is going to have a meaning, and how it's going to make me stronger and prepare me for something that's coming in the future. And to give like a hard, more tangible example of that, at my law school, I'd gone through a few things where I didn't think some of the things that professors were doing were right. And so, like, I had approached the dean about putting one thing that I asked him to do. I gave him a list of a few things that I wanted him to do, but one of them was creating a standing committee for diversity, equity, and inclusion at the school, because the school didn't have one. And he was a little like pessimistic about it, and he didn't approach the situation in the way that I had wished that he had done it. But because I had gone through that process of that frustration, and I already knew when another incident happened this past year, how to properly approach the dean with a little bit more power in my back pocket so that I could be listened to. So even though I was disappointed in that first instance, like almost 2 years prior, this past year, we were able to get a standing committee at the school. As an alumni, I was able to get that done with a group of other alumni and some active students, as well as some other things that the school is doing now to better implement equity at the school, and some practices of anti-racism in the curriculum as well. So I'm really proud of that. So all of that negative experiences that students had were able to build up into this demand for equity to the school, which ends up being something very positive, and it's going to make the institution a better place in the future, not just for students of color, but for all the students that will come through those doors, and the faculty as well. And then in a longer stretch, impacting our community and the clients that those students will have when they become licensed attorneys, or if they become lawmakers or working in policy like I am. The impact is huge, and I'm really proud of that the school was able to see that demand.
I like that. And you said something important there, and that was the answer to this question without even being asked, is diversity is being important. And what are you doing to be more inclusive and encourage others to as well? And you said it very well, is that you're thinking about the people coming behind you. It might not fix the immediate problem of the people who are here now, or even for you who was there then, but it will fix the long-term problem if you actually implement it successfully over time. So I know that as you experience that part of law school, I know it came with some doubt, right? So what's your pro tip for others to use when they're doubting themselves? They feel like, It's always going to be this way. It's not going to change. It's going to be the same story, news headline. I'm tired. I don't even know if the profession needs me because I can't even find a job. Tell us about that pro tip.
Yeah. You can do it. You can do it. I think the thing that for me, what's really gotten me through, and this is like an echoed point from earlier, is the network that I had with Nabalsa. Having those friends available to talk to build me up was really important to me. And if I didn't have, I can give like a little shout out to Aisha. But like
Mhm.
honestly, if I didn't have her, my friend Anita, my friend Carlene from law school, if I didn't have them, I my experience would have been totally different. I don't know if I would have been able to make it through to graduation, and my friend Amanda as well. Um, I think when you are doubting yourself, you have to take a moment to pause, to think. Um, Ask yourself, you know, Nina, you asked me in the beginning, who am I? Ask yourself, who am I? And know and believe that who you are is enough and is worthy, and you have the tools to be able to make it through, to do what you want to do. The dream that you have is achievable for you. And if you need to add in some pluses to that, going into your network, trying to connect to people, either whether it's through your group me or through LinkedIn, and staying consistent with trying to connect with people, being thorough. That 15-minute phone call that you mentioned, Nina, that's also important as well. Just reminding yourselves of those little things, that little 15 minutes, that moment to pause and to think and rebuild yourself up, and not be focusing so much on those little whispers of doubt, which aren't true. It's just coming from a little bit of an insecurity that you may have. And anyone else that you interact with, every single human being is going to have moments of insecurity. So you're not alone in that. And everyone that makes it to the top, like look at our vice president. We're talking about passing the bar right now. For us, like graduating in 2020, and the bar was a big to do. Transitioning that to be remote was really hard, and everyone's in different environments trying to take this really intense exam. And for my friends that weren't able to pass on the first try, our vice president didn't pass on the first try either. And that is okay. And look where she is at now. It doesn't matter if you stumble a few times, 1, 2, 20 times, you can get back up and keep on going forward. And that dream that you have, you will achieve it. Absolutely.
Awesome. So that innovation strategy, we got to talk about it, right? Because as we went through the rough times of COVID, all of that doubt also set in because we couldn't go and see people anymore. We're not able to go in person and network like our good self. We got to virtually network. So, what's an innovation strategy that you had to develop during COVID that kind of revitalized maybe networking or connecting with people in general for you?
Yeah, I think with COVID, one of my biggest struggles with COVID was actually being able to stay focused, and that still gets at me sometimes, especially towards the middle of the week. So I needed to implement into my schedule a way to be able to get out consistently and being able to like walk outside, even if it's only for like 10 minutes. Just having that break in your day will actually boost your productivity. And finding new things that are of interest to you if you have some other goals aside from like studying, being in school. So I picked up reading more, which I enjoy a lot, and I'm very stimulated through that. And one thing I wanted to do was educate my friends on the different things that I've been reading and looking up information. So I create little posts on my Instagram to share with people, and I've gotten really great feedback from my friends. They love it, and they're like, keep on doing this. So um, in COVID, I would say break up your day, get outside, stand, go a little bit for a walk if you can, just to get some more movement going on. in terms of your network building, getting on LinkedIn. If you don't already have one, you want to create a LinkedIn. Message people on there to connect, ask them for the 15-minute phone call. If you're, I'm trying to think, because sometimes people aren't necessarily comfortable getting on the phone. I don't know, maybe if there are other alternatives, seeing people have done interviews online like this, Googling people's names so you can get more information from people, or finding if there's like a group me or group chat that's available for you to just be able to chat with people back and forth. There's a lot of lawyer group me's out there that you can join too.
Yes. Love that. So then we're going to get into the real thing. Why'd you even give this topic today? I mean, you could have talked about anything. Why do you think it's so important for them to know about networking? I mean, because people still don't think, even after listening to this first 30 minutes, that it's important. So what's your driving point? Why do you want them to think about as to why this topic is so important?
Yeah, well, your network really can be everything. When you're struggling to find an answer, if you're looking for a scholarship or job opportunities, sometimes who you know is how you're able to get the resources that you need. You can experience sometimes when you're in law school that you might not know information right away because you weren't in the know, or you didn't know somebody that knew information. So it's important to just keep that on the forefront of your mind, that you want to be able to build connection with folks. And I wanted students to hear that I came into law school not knowing that and not knowing how to do that. And I came out okay. I'm gainfully employed, praise God. And I want them to hear that somebody else has gone through this struggle like you have. And if they need assistance in any way, I'm completely available for that.
I love that. And of course, before we go to our break, I want to ask you this question, and then we'll ask you kind of the final questions. What could you improve on? I know we talked a lot about things that other people can improve on with their networking, but what are you doing? Because you probably got it all right. You probably know everything there is to know, and you're probably a networking guru at this point. But if you did have some things that you wanted to improve on, what would they be?
I wish that there's one person in particular that I wish I had done a little bit of quarterly check-ins with folks that, like the person that I consider a mentee, has done with me, and not letting my busy schedule get the best of me, because I worked while I was in law school too. So, I'm trying to do better at that, and just sending some messages to folks, whether that's via text or via email, and just being instead of having my annual check-in with folks, just trying to follow up with people, see where they're at, what new things are going on with them. And have like a little virtual coffee date. I'm trying to do that at the IP too, because I just joined there. So I've been finding that really beneficial, just to grab some time with someone, 30 minutes, just to talk with them, even if I don't know them at all. Everyone's very receptive.
I love that. Well, we're going to go on a mini break. That means me and Stacey are going to go on mute, and you're just going to hear another fun video for about 30 seconds of another thing that we do throughout the year, which is Trademark That Thursdays, every week at Thursday. But I don't have a time for y'all because it varies, but we give out free trademark tips, have Q&As and everything. So I'm going to put that up now. Awesome. We're back. So I hope you guys do tune into that. You'll see more videos like that throughout the year. I now have a virtual moderator intern, so me and Stacey won't be alone. Have a virtual moderator intern every time to ask some great questions. people who are more than likely in need of that information that they are to share. So she'll be with me very soon. We didn't have this one previously booked on our schedule. We are starting this week, Monday, so we hadn't synced up our calendars for this one yet. But the next question that I wanted to ask you before we get any further, right, is how can we better protect and support Black-owned businesses? A lot of people don't. I mean, we buy who we buy from, and we just kind of don't prioritize. We have bad experience with one Black-owned business, and then we back at Walmart and Target and all the other places. So, how can we better protect and support Black-owned businesses?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we need to do is interact with them more. Like it takes a like on social media or like an additional follow on social media goes a long way. So making sure that you're engaging with their platforms and not just I know just because it's Black History Month, trying to have that on the forefront of your mind, trying to find out what products that you have that you can consistently buy from a Black-owned business. Like, for instance, Honey Pot is Black female owned, and all of her products are really amazing. So I buy all my feminine care products from there. So I encourage everyone here to buy your products, and you can get her products like directly from the website, or you can actually buy some of them at Target as well. And Instagram has a really great feature now where you can create a guide. So if you know of a Black-owned business that you want to amplify and share with your following on social media, you can create a guide and just list all the different Black-owned businesses that you know. I think when it comes to having a negative interaction with a business, that's not like exclusive just to Black-owned businesses. Like any business can have poor customer service, or you can interact with someone who's a sales associate who's just maybe having a bad day. I worked in retail, so sometimes if you're having like a really busy day, sometimes your attitude can just change a little bit. But trying to remember to give people grace is really important. And if you have feedback for a business or ways that they can improve, just making sure you're sharing that in a kind way as best you can, and calling them in instead of calling them out.
I love that. Calling them in instead of calling them out. I like it. Y'all use that IG guide feature. It's really simple, y'all. It's really not difficult at all. You can find your favorite posts and then boom, you in there. You can find your favorite accounts and boom, you in there. It's really not difficult. And you just share it on your story because they can't go find your guide from your profile. So you gotta share it on your story. And then they should be able to find everything in your guide by clicking the thing. But it doesn't show up immediately on your profile. At least it didn't before. It might now, but I don't see it on my profile for other people. I only see it on my own IG page. So I haven't tried to look at it from other accounts yet, but I usually don't see people's guides. Only if they share it on their IG story. But either way, y'all, you can just share the link to the guide with your friends. You can drop it in a group meet. You can drop it in a text. Look, I found all these Black-owned businesses, and then they can go to your guide directly. But that is an easy way for you to be like an influencer online and be able to tell people about stuff that they wouldn't have otherwise found on the Instagram or on Facebook. I said the Instagram. It sounded like my mama, y'all. All right. So the next question is that $1 million idea time. This is that time where we talk about ways to revolutionize our industry. If people would just listen to you, if people kind of looked at your perspective and were like, you know what, it's a great idea, Stacey. What was it that you think somebody should probably do to kind of revolutionize in the industry you serve? And you see a lot of stuff in the Innocence Project, but this could be anywhere from law to just general business stuff that you have done. And you're just like, y'all just listen, and we'll be good. So what is it for you, Stacey?
Yeah, so one of my long-term interests is the legal cannabis industry. And I really think it would be interesting to see states implement in their brackets for legal cannabis to do a tax that would help generate income for reparations. So that's that's one of my long-term visions, to be able to do in policy, being able to get law implemented for reparations. And I think that that new industry would be a good way to be able to generate the appropriate income to be able to fund that.
So y'all heard her. If you have any interest in the legal cannabis industry, y'all need to reach out to Stacey and be like, hey, we need a hardworking girl like you on our team, or we need you to lead this program. Because I mean, I really do think that it's crazy that it was prosecuted and criminalized so long, and now it's like a business. And it could have been a business this whole time because it's what people were doing. But now that everybody's interested in selling it, now it's okay. But all the people who suffered years of their life for weed, I just, I'm a criminal defense attorney, so I have to follow the law, but I don't know if I agree with that. But y'all know, I say my piece and the Lord will fix the rest. All right. Yeah. So the legal cannabis industry is definitely one that has to be revolutionized. And if it could be, I mean, we could really be, we could be on it. We could really be revolutionizing industries. I know weed is not the best, but I promise you, happy, sleepy, hungry. That's the only bad things I've heard. But other people say different.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things too is just being able to set up extension clinics as well. Like there's there's a lot of work that needs to be done to even make some of the states that already have it legalized, making sure that there's social equity in their programs, especially with licensing and all the capital that people need to have up front. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done to make it more accessible.
That is very true. Now, the question everybody's been wondering, because you work with the Innocence Project, do they have any team? They got some jobs, they got some internships, they got some anything, scratch his head like, needs drugs, but I need jobs. So is there anybody that you know of, Innocence Project or otherwise, volunteer opportunities that you can think of that might be good for students that are interested in doing the kind of work that you do?
I'm not aware right now of any specific policy internships available, but what I will say is if you go on to LinkedIn or Indeed, that's how I found my job, going on Indeed and just creating a job alert. So some key terms that you can put in there. If you you can do fellowship, you could do legal intern, law clerk. I'm trying to think, policy associate, things like that, and just creating a alert that you'll get like a daily or weekly digest, so you'll know when new opportunities are available. And I think, Neena, you're going to add me into the chat, so if I find anything, I will definitely put that in there.
Awesome. And then, my favorite question to ask all of y'all is that motivational message you wish that someone gave you. So when you were in law school, licking your wounds because you were a lowly 1L trying to figure it all out, nobody really gave you the true insights into this stuff is hard as heck. What did you need somebody to tell you so that you wouldn't just throw your books across the room?
I wish I heard more that you can do it.
They don't believe you when I tell you. People do not tell you could do it. They be telling you to quit. I think one guy actually did tell me to quit while I was reading Civ Pro, and I wanted to, but I wasn't going to give up. But he did say it, and I was very tempted right then. And I actually almost did quit law school, but that's a story for another
day. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, you can do it. That's really what we all need. All right. So are there any offers or anything that you want, if they want to especially reach out to you for this, if they can use that title or that subject line, L.A.S.T 2021, is there anything that you want people to kind of email you back specifically related to this talk, if they want to learn the network or anything like that, where you want to basically offer to help them with any type of area that they're asking for? Is there any specific area you might want to talk to them about?
Yeah, I think if you are a prospective student, you're interested in going through the LSAT, process, if you haven't done that already, you can definitely email me on that. If you've just been accepted and you want to know, like, what is it going to be like and the 1L experience, I'm here to share my experience and boost you up. And I think I'll put a little tidbit out there. If you're buying books, go to ecampus.com. I found the cheapest textbooks through there.
ecampus.com, y'all. Y'all heard that? Don't go to Chess.
Yeah, do
Don't
not
go
go
to
to
the other site. Go to ecampus.com. E like the letter, campus.com. All right. So then we're going to end with, how can they contact you?
Yeah, so in the banner at the bottom is my school email. It's sfanderson1@widener.edu.
Awesome. And anything that you want to sign off with, anything that you didn't get to cover, but you kind of want to tell them before you sign off today, and then I'll come back on screen and we can go ahead and close it out.
Yeah, I think I'll just sum it up with a big thing. You can do it. You have this dream ahead of you, and it's achievable, and we're all here rooting for you.
Awesome. And we really are all here rooting for you. I mean, me and Stacey took time out of our Sunday, and I like to do video streams on Sunday. That's the only work I like to do. But they gotta be like fun. They gotta be talks. Like it's gotta be like, what is it going on in your life? And what you heard from Stacey is like a real account. So you're not hearing it because she just kind of wants to be seen. Stacey is taking the time just to, even if nobody comes and tunes in right away, just to give you this information. This information is useful no matter where you are in your legal journey. And she said, she wants to help you if you are going through this process and you feel like you're alone. She said, email her. And when there are opportunities like that, y'all, to connect with people and email them, I think you should do it. I really do. I think you should make that decision to really capitalize on the networking you can do right now. That's why I bring these people to y'all. I don't bring them here for my own benefit. They already networked with me. Okay, they saw something in the group me that we're in, and I got this. But I want you to take the time to network with them. And if you can do that, you will see a lot of success when you are continuing to push on your path to legal success. You will find that you know more people in your contact book than the person next to you because you took the time to tune into stuff like this. This is Sunday. You ain't doing nothing. This your relax Sunday. You might as well relax with me and Stacey and hear us talk about networking, the Innocence Project, and all the stuff in between to get to your law school legal success. Okay? So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Of course, I will give Stacey all y'all's information if you put it in our LinkedIn drop stuff, but if you didn't, I'm sorry. You got to figure it out. It's live. You can post it. All right. So I love you guys, and I really do appreciate y'all for tuning in. And I don't know who y'all are, who you've been. It's been like 3, it's been like 5, it's been like 1. It goes all the way through. But whoever tunes in like this, I appreciate y'all. And I know y'all are tuning in on different avenues because this is not streaming just on YouTube. It's on our Facebook group. It's all throughout. So people are going to be able to see it. But the fact that you guys take the time on Sunday to tune in tells me that you care. And I love it. I love it. And I'm pretty sure Stacey appreciates being able to speak about all the things that make her great and all the things that can make you guys great too. So thank you guys. Yeah. Bye, Stacey.
Thanks for having me.